Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety meeting. It's 4 o'clock, Wednesday, May 14th. There goes May, everybody, don't blink. We'll call this meeting to order. We'll open up the meeting to public comment. I don't see anybody here, but Peter, will you let us know if somebody comes and joins us online? And the third item on our resolution, our third item on our agenda is a resolution to approve the minutes of the April 25th meeting of the Glens Falls Board of Public Safety. Is there any questions or comments about the minutes? Not hearing any. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. 4 is a resolution to approve the ribbon cutting ceremony at the block party celebrating the grand opening of the new South Street Ed Market and Event Center, named after Ed Bartholomew, or will be named after Ed Bartholomew on this Friday. It's to be held the 16th of May from 3 until 8 p.m. Actually, the ribbon cutting is from 3 to 5 and the block party is from 5 to 8, just so you know. But this whole event will run from 3 to 8 p.m. It'll entail a road closure on South Street from South and the Broad split to the, we had originally to Elm Street, but we're also going to limit the traffic at the monument so that traffic doesn't turn down that last section of Elm Street and then run into a dead end because Elm is closed and that part of South is closed. So that is included in that. That's a little change as we realize that we couldn't just close it to Elm only because Elm's been closed due to construction. So that portion of Elm has been closed. So let's see. The city's also requesting waiving the city's open container ordinance, and that is just for that little section from South and Broad, the corner, to the South and Elm. So waive the open container law for that for this evening on that. The city police department and EMS will be on hand from the 5 to 8 where the serving of alcohol will be happening. DPW will handle our road closure and reopening. This is a city-sponsored event, one of the very first and very few. We don't have the staff to run events. But this event for the opening and the ribbon cutting and the block party to demonstrate the functionality of this building is a one-time event that will be done by the city with the help of Empire State Development and the brought to you by Empire State Development and the Adirondack Regional Chamber for this ribbon cutting. Let's see. The city event will be covered under the city's insurance liability policy, and work orders have been sent to DPW, Fire Department, and the Police Department. Any questions about this one-time event?
I do.
Sure.
Mayor,
Yeah.
may I ask, will there be monitoring of the open container to be contained in that area?
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank
And
you.
signage as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great
Thank you
name
very
for
much.
it too.
Thank you, yes.
Correct.
The event downtown center, the Ed, and we'll have a plaque for Ed and his family be unveiled at the event at the ribbon cutting, because we all know that Ed and Jack Diamond are the one who started this 8 years ago and applied and got that grant, and then I just have the honor of bringing this across the finish line now. That $10 million grant will be over $48 million worth of development in Glens Falls, including the old Sandy's, the old Hot Shots, the incubator building, and a brand new workforce housing of 77 projects and new commercial from Sandy's all the way to the New Way Lunch. So all of that, and we'll highlight all of that at this event center. Please come. We'd really like you to be there. It's really your work as well as our police and fire department that's made this possible. 5 is a resolution to approve the Sheridan Street Residents Get Out the Vote block party to be held Saturday, June 21st, 2025 from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. A road closure request on the first block of Sheridan Street between Davis and Crandall Streets. The event holder has been contacted and explained about erecting the barricades and maintaining a clear lane for EMS to use. The event holder is expecting up to 50 people to attend, and work orders are sent to both DPW and to the police department and fire departments to notify them of the event and make sure they have it on their calendar in case there's any problems. Do we have questions about this block party? Motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. 6 is a resolution to approve the City of Glens Falls Band Summer Concert Series to be held Monday evenings in the City Park, starting on June 30th, 2025 and running through August 18th, 2025 from 6:15 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. This year will be the 60th anniversary of this concert series, which is great. Work orders have been sent to our rec department and DPW as attached. Any questions about the series? Very enjoyable. I get to watch it and gives me an excuse to leave early before my normal 9:30 at night departure here in the office. Any questions?
No.
Do we have a motion to
I'll
approve?
make that motion.
Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I
Thank
try
you
to
very
get to
much.
every one.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Bring a lawn chair. I'm not good at sitting without a lawn chair. Too old and too heavy, I think.
I do.
Seven's a resolution to approve the USA Luge Slider Search Event to be held on May 17th and the 18th, 2025, from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. on both days at the Murray Street Hill on Murray Street. Is this the old soapbox derby, but they call it now USA
similar.
Luge
No,
Slider?
it's actually a luge, like an Olympic luge, where they lay on their backs and they go down. They have wheels, but they're looking for kids to get into the sport.
Right, okay, so
The soapbox derby
it's
is
like
literally
the
a box
soapbox
with cars.
derby.
Well, they're going down the hill.
Okay,
It's a different.
less
like-
controlled than, say, the soapbox?
Yeah, I think you should.
No
your
soapbox
weight,
at all.
But I don't know who came up with strapping yourself to a board and going 100 miles an hour down.
Luge thing, right?
I
I think it's
And there are on wheels, even though, wow,
Yes,
look
yeah.
at that.
It's wild.
Maybe I'll give that a shot.
Wild.
I'll stop by
I
and
would,
say,
yeah.
give that a shot.
If I
That
did it, I
ought to
wouldn't
be
step
fun.
like hit
We'll
the
go
other
and
side of the
watch
river.
If I end up in the hospital, I'm sure you all come and visit. I know that, and won't laugh too loudly.
You heard a
Let's see.
resounding
Do we
yes
ha-
on
Do we have
that.
any questions other than mine about the event?
No.
Second, this is the second year of this event held. City has contacted Eric Wood, the president of Finch Pine, to notify them of the event, as this was done last year, and they can notify the inbound wood trucks of the closure, which they've happily agreed to. Work orders have been sent out, police and fire and DPW. No questions?
No. Make a motion to approve?
Thank you.
I'd like to suggest something, that this be a conditional approval upon them naming the city as an additional insured on their insurance. They intentionally did not.
This is not certificate.
Okay.
See what it says,
know that.
additional insured?
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't list the city as an
Additional
additional
insured.
insured.
No.
Do we,
Chip's working on it,
gotcha. We're
but I'd
trying to
like
get
to
it
make sure that
contingent upon
our
it.
conditional, our approval's conditional.
Okay, and we've asked for it, and do you know
Well,
what the
yeah,
occurrences
I
are?
want to call it Gallagher too. I was talking to Mike earlier. You know, if it says the event holder is the city, we were told by
Yeah.
our insurance company that means you're insured, you're additionally insured. But you can't put addition, you can't spell it out. So Mike, he seems to think if it goes to court that it wouldn't hold up. So
It won't give you a defense. They have to say it.
So if Mike's right, you need to speak to our attorney and start to put that language in as asking for additional insurance.
yeah, I can ask for it.
Well-
We kind of stopped when they said, you know, you don't need it basically. If you
Our
are-
insurance
if you-
company said that.
Yeah, our insurance
So-
company said that since we're the certificate holder, we are additionally insured. That was
Well-
proof enough.
This is something I deal with all the time, and if your insurance agent tells you that, I'd suggest you get it in writing,
There you go.
because there will come a day when some kid sliding down the hill runs into a hole and breaks his neck, and we get sued because we don't maintain the streets or because we let a car in, and we have no protection.
So for this one, let's ask for the additional insured, and you already have, or you're in the process?
No, I can
All right,
do that.
So ask to be listed as an additionally insured. Second, then you, certainly, I agree with Mike, you can say, you can just send an email to our insurance agent, say, I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
You're saying that if it's not a city event and they're providing their certificate of insurance,
Yeah, list us,
that's
yes.
equivalent to listing us as an additional insured. If they write yes, print out the email, and now you've got it, and then we're done, okay? And if not, if they question it, then you want to do what everybody else does, which everybody, I agree with Mike's statement. So there's an event that I do in my personal business, that I've got an event this weekend. I'm obviously not doing it, my company is. In Tennessee, it's an Irish festival. And I not only need to provide them a copy of my certificate of insurance, I need to list them for that weekend as an additional insured for either 1 million or 2 million and an aggregate of $4 million of insurance. And I simply just send my insurance company that. They list it out and they put the name of the actual organization and the location. So both the location as the festival
We can
place.
go back to that, it's just when we heard we didn't need it, we did. But we
All
can go
right,
back.
so herding it is fine. If you've got it documented, then we're good. And Mike will help us and we just keep it on. If you've got that email, then just make a copy and make sure we got it handy, because we're gonna need it. He's right.
Better to
When
be
they
sa-
go to suing us.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Better safe than
and
sorry.
have it
There you
documented.
go.
Okay, and I'm not-
Maybe really all you need is the insurance company to say, yes, it's good. And maybe that's for a municipality. So, anyway,
So
are
I
we
will-
good?
I will amend my motion to be a
Inclusive.
conditional
Of it listed as an additional insured. We
until,
good?
yes, yes.
All right, we have a
Okay.
motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Good, good, good.
Let's see.
Just wanna make sure I did it right.
8, resolution to waiving the city's open container ordinance for 2 collaborative events. Take a Bite, running Wednesday, July 9th through August 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. And Oktoberfest, to be held September 27th from noon until 4 p.m. The area will be contained for a portion of City Park, excluding Crandall Trust property, and bounded by the block of Glen, Maple, and Ridge Streets, as always we've done, with the map attached. Any questions about the event?
I do.
These events?
I do, Mayor.
Okay,
The events will be held on Glen Street. The collaborative will not have volunteers in place around the perimeter of the event area to assure no alcoholic beverage is taken beyond those points.
and so Chip, you want to explain?
I can ask them to. They didn't have any issues with it. I don't know if do we have any trouble with people escaping the bounds of with drinks?
The question is who's liable?
I am concerned.
So we've, in the past,
I can ask them to put some people out there and say that they can.
well, that's been the expectation. They're also responsible for having people at the barriers. So if you don't mind, Tambry, I'd like to approve this as is, but I also would like you, Chip, to actually write them an email. And I would like it to be, because they are still liable, Tambry, okay? So we don't need this for them. If you're at the beer festival, or in this case, Take a Bite, and you buy a beer from Davidson Brothers, and you wander past that gate, right? Then the police are going to stop you and say, this is not an unopened container. You can go back, or we'll ticket you for open container in the city. So that's where the liability runs. Fair enough? And we don't need it changed in this language. It's fine. They're saying we're not going to have anybody there. So you need to be careful as the person who's buying the beer and wandering out of the bar. So that's all fine as far as my understanding is this approval of this event. But separately, the agreement was for this and other events. When we close down these gates, DPW, we're not paying overtime to man these barriers. Make sense? We're dropping them off and then we're picking them up. And so the event person, so that we're not paying overtime to this, the event person is responsible to have somebody at the barriers. And while they're at the barriers, they can also be somebody there saying, hey, no open container past this area. I want you to go ahead and write that as a request and send it to the collaborative for all their events. We want to reaffirm what the agreement is.
No, that's great, we can just, the
I just
board
want to
of
clear up
questions.
that resolution too, because it
Yes.
says the area will be contained to a portion of City Park. So the alcohol is contained to just City Park for those events? Because I
It's a
don't,
portion of City Park excluding the Crandall Trust.
And
but Jacobite is Glens, I mean,
that's why it's got
Yeah.
bounded by Glen Maple
It's-
Ridge.
right, but the area will be contained in City Park as in the open container. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, so you need
That
to
doesn't make-
just clean it up. It's not contained within City Park.
That's what I
The,
mean.
the
it's-
area will
yeah.
include City Park.
Right,
Oh,
okay.
I see.
You know, it makes
Yeah.
it seem like you're only
It'll
drinking
include
there.
City Park,
Okay.
exclude, right? So
Yeah.
the area will include City Park,
Correct.
excluding
Okay.
Crandall Trust property,
Okay.
and bounded by the Glen Street area. And that's what the map does. The deal is that at all of those barriers, all those street closures, the expectation is that they're gonna have volunteers at them in case there's a fire, and they can move them. And the other deal is that they will leave half the street open for emergency vehicles. I think we should start to put that in all the agreements. It's been there, they do it mostly, and we wanna make sure, right? Because otherwise, then if the expectation is that somebody, I know that when this was originally done, before I was mayor, when we put those barriers there, the police chief or the fire chief or the fire prevention officer was like, well, if you're gonna put a barrier covering Glen Street, you need to have somebody at it to move it in case there's a fire,
Right,
right?
Right.
So and because we're not paying staff to work every
Correct.
barrier all weekend long or for the entirety of the event, that somebody's
have to
gotta
have
be
somebody.
there. If they don't wish to do that, then we need to know that, because then we need to decide whether we can approve that or not,
I think that's what
right?
it's
We need the fire department, so,
We'll
there we
not
go.
have volunteers in place, so that's.
Yes, will not have volunteers of perimeter to assure no
Yes.
alcoholic beverages.
Right.
So, then we probably, well, the alcohol's one thing. I'm fine, because really the person who's in trouble there is the guy who's selling the beer. You sell beer from, Davidson Brothers, and they walk outside your place, and, well, it's actually not, it's the guy who's carrying the beer who's
Yeah.
responsible. Sorry, there we go. So I'm fine with them not
Okay.
having
That's what I
that,
wanna make sure
but
that-
I'm not fine with not having people at the barriers,
right.
right? And
That's
so
my question.
We need to
Yes.
do it. So so we're good with this, I think, is ready with the change of the area will contain, the area of city will be city park, include city park
Right,
instead of contained.
Okay, we gotta change the minutes.
Yep.
so.
No, not the minutes,
Well,
the
amend the resolution,
resolution.
yep, I got it. So it'll include
Alright.
City Park, and are we
Good.
putting anything about people being at the barriers or not?
No, right
Okay,
now,
that's fine.
it's just a request.
Just wanna
I'm
make
not,
sure I'm good with it.
these guys are great actors. We want them to be successful, the collaborative to be successful in their events. We want to support them. But the understanding, is that not the truth that you understand, Deputy Chief? About the barriers, that there's somebody at them, which makes it okay? So I understand if they're not enforcing the open container law, right? Maybe we should at least ask them to have signage at
Yes.
every entrance into the area, or not entrance, but at the main,
No alcohol passes.
no alcohol past this.
That's a good idea.
That's reasonable, and we can just talk to them about it. It's not, let's approve this. These are
Yes.
good
I have
events.
concern about the verbiage. I have concern that there will be nobody
Yeah,
there.
Nobody there. Right.
I have concern.
Because that is gonna come up when the officer goes and approaches them and says, you can't be now, out on, Ridge Street
Right,
with alcohol. And they're gonna go, well, nobody told me I couldn't, right? And so, that's why.
it just needs to be cleaned up.
Yep, so the resolution will pass, we'll ask them for clarification and help them.
I'll ask
These
them
are
for
responsible, event runners.
And so at least
Let's-
they can just put up signs, no alcohol beyond this point.
Yeah, and keep somebody at those barriers in case there's and get volunteers to man those barriers.
That's always been a rule.
I
There has
think it
been-
has, and I don't think it's been
Yes.
written, and I want to clarify it with them and make sure, because I don't want to hold them to something that was decided years ago either. And they may not even, they've changed directors, event directors are come and go. Let's help and clarify that. Okay, are we okay with the resolution with the small amendment of the area will include City Park? Is there a motion?
With signage, with signage.
With signage,
Yes.
how's that?
With signage. Yeah, with signage.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. 9 is a resolution to approve the Summer Concert Series 2025, presented by the Park Theater Foundation, to be held at Crandall Park beginning June 6, 2025, and running through August 8, 2025, from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. This will be the 5th year of these concerts. The city permitted food vendor, a city permitted food vendor will be on the side parking lot. This approval is contingent upon the event holder providing an updated COI, which is forthcoming as their insurance runs annually. The work orders have been sent to the DPW.
The work orders or the COIs on the table, it just came in today.
Okay, so only one permitted food vendor is at the, so it's at Crandall Park?
Crandall Park,
Is there only one?
Yeah, he's got one food truck.
Okay, and so what are we doing to ensure that before the event, just like you do with the certificate of insurance? So I believe this can stand as it is and be passed, but before we pass it, what are we doing to make sure that you have a copy of the certificate of insurance and that you have a copy of the clerk permitted vending permit?
So I can start to ask them for that.
No, you need to ask them for it because it's just like the insurance. You need to have a copy of that insurance and the copy of the
Is that on
permit.
the event holder to provide the copy of the?
Yes, and if they
truck?
don't provide it, then they can't have the event.
Well, they couldn't have the food truck.
Right. So you get a copy of it from them, just like you're asking for a copy of the insurance.
I'll ask
Yep,
them.
needs to be on your list and needs to be moving forward. Now that everyone is made to have a thing, you can simply, and you can check. So if you don't get certificate of insurance, you call the event holder.
We have the insurance, it just came in.
Good, but, so, and the same would be for the, from the food vendor, right? You don't have, that event comes up that week before and you're sharing your work order with our event person for this event, right? You're sharing that packet of information. It needs to have a copy of that clerk stuff. And you shouldn't get it, the event holder needs to give it to you.
Okay, I'm just thinking like for food, we should do that for every.
Everyone.
So if there's somebody has 11 food trucks, we should be collecting 11.
Yeah, they should be collecting 11 from you, for you, or they shouldn't have it, just like their certificate of insurance. Yeah, it's a mandate that they have it. And why? Because now that guy's got a copy of all those and he's now at that event. And he can see that those 11 people have had their permits and that they're all good. And if
No,
he
that's just
doesn't,
new. We
Yep.
have no problem.
no, it's, yep, are we good?
Yeah,
Great.
the one truck that's been there has been serving their items that they cook at the
Yeah.
restaurant.
It's good.
It's probably not-
They probably have it.
Singular for their,
Because they own the park
yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah, should be
they're-
very easy.
They're paying the bands.
Yeah, should be very easy for them to give us a copy.
Yep.
It's just new that we're asking for it. And again, it's so that our event person knows who's been approved, right? We're assuming
I
that
don't know
we,
what the story is on that.
it's part of the application process. Remember, you gotta give the application to the event guy, the whole bit. All right, we're good. So, do we have a resolution to approve the summer concert series? Is any questions about the summer concert series?
I move approval.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. 10 is a resolution to approve the East End Block Party to be held on June 21st, noon to 9 p.m. at the Lawrence Street Tavern. The event holder is requesting a partial closure of Lawrence and Cooper Streets, about halfway block from each of the Lawrence Street Tavern. The map is attached. The corner of Lawrence and Cooper Streets will remain open. The event holder is requesting waiving the city's open container ordinance for this area bound by the street closures so that the attendees will, can be on both sidewalks and in the street while listening to the music that we played from the front porch of the tavern. Work orders have been sent for barriers, DPW, police, and fire. Any questions? There's a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. 11 is a resolution to approve the 2025 collaborative Take-A-Bite events Wednesday to be held on July 9th, 2025 and running until August 20th, 25 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on 7:15 p.m. on those days. This event requires the closure of Glen Street from the Circle to the Monument, and restaurants on Glen, Maple, and Ridge Streets will all participate. Resolution 8 on this agenda has already been requested for waiving the open container event. And so it's just now approving the overall road closure. Do we have any questions about the event? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 12 is a resolution to approve the 3rd annual Glens Falls Pride Fest to be held June 1st, 2025, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. in City Park. The event holder is asking for the closure of Maple Street and Lapham Place, as was done last year, beginning 7 a.m. Saturday and May 31st,
Same with it.
and set up in the event park with the actual event running also. So it's also running on Sunday, June 1st, right, Chip? So it's, is it, oh, so it's just Sunday, the
It's
event?
just one day this year, but he set it
Yes.
up the day before, yeah.
They're setting up on the
It was
13th.
3 days
Ah.
last year, he cut it down.
Right, okay.
And they're having no open container because he's not gonna have any of that.
Gotcha.
Okay,
About
good.
8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. in the evening. There will be a walk parade around the block of downtown Glen, Ridge, and Maple, and a safety plan and map are attached. So do you know, Chief, have you looked at this? Does this include the road, or are they going to walk on the sidewalk like they did last year?
They're going to be on the sidewalk.
Okay, great. So they've got a safety plan and the map are attached. Any questions about this event?
Are the governor and the attorney general really going to appear?
I don't know. I don't see it, but I'm not sure.
He said the governor's coming.
You did, huh? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Good.
I have a question. It's listed event end date and time, 4 p.m., but on our Sunday, June 1st, it shows 7 p.m. So it says festival concludes at 4 p.m., but stage and tent pickup Maple Street and Lapham Place reopen at 7. So everything will be closed to the public at 4 p.m. Am I correct?
Yes, I believe.
Okay, that's all, that was my question.
Okay.
Okay,
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I
New
wish
business. I don't have any new business. Any members have any new business?
I have a question about decorum and order and safety at city council meetings. I've heard rumors
Okay.
that one of the councilmen behaved in a fashion that caused some alarm and at the last meeting, and that a police officer will be dispatched to future meetings. My question is this accurate?
Well, all the council meetings are available on TV. And so if you have any questions about the quorum of myself or any of the council members, you can always go and look at that. So I'll try not to, I hate to, when somebody says, right? And so I think the best way to do that. There certainly has been no behavior by anybody that would require a police officer. Having nothing to do with that, the council has decided to change its operating procedures based on a whole bunch of things. One is the council we have done so much in this city in the last 3 years that our council meetings were making it two hours plus. It's amazing how many streets we've been able to pave and how much development's going on and how many projects we've got. I think we're managing 22 grants right now for over $18 million between our Community and Economic Development Director. And I was reading, because of I hadn't changed any way in which the procedural process of the council meetings. I was reading things that were, it was almost like a tongue twister of a thing, right? And, we're moving $5,478 to account A 00777-45673 to such and such account at A, they were going on, and I think people felt bad for me, and people felt we were wasting time, and they suggested that we look at what's called consent agendas and different kinds of agendas like the county runs and that other municipalities run. So then it came to our work of our clerk and our deputy clerk, who looked up and worked with NICOM to come up with some different layouts and different procedural documents. And so they've helped us. We think that we're going to actually be able to meet the needs of the council and cut down the time. In addition, we define things like the public, there's been no real good definition of what public comment is. And there have been no clear rules about public comment and the way that somebody addresses the council, and that the way that the council might address somebody giving public comment. That's all been clarified. And an additional thing was that if someone, whether it be me, the council member, or a member of the public, is disruptive to a council meeting, that the sergeant at arms will ask them after the third warning, will remove them. That's in that procedure that has now been clarified. The length of comment, who they can address, everything's part of it. So I've asked the chief, at least for first several months, to provide a sergeant at arms, but it didn't have to do with anybody's behavior in regards to anybody who's threatening or any of that. So yes, it's happening technically, but no, not because of that. We hope we never have to use it that way. But that's what we're doing, okay?
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. I'm sorry to go into such a long explanation, but I've yet to be able to make a long story short in my whole life. And being mayor hasn't helped that at all.
I have.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I did watch the common council meeting last evening with the gentleman who did come up regarding the Leonard Street issue.
Yeah.
And as a member of the Board of Public Safety, I am concerned. I do understand and respect what you said, how the city is handling this and moving forward, and that our police chief and our police department are aware of it. I was very unhappy to hear Councilman, excuse me, Ben Lapham,
Yes?
comment, more or less a derogatory comment towards our police department. Information was provided. The gentleman who brought the issue to the council last evening had paperwork in hand, to which the councilman refused to take and acknowledge because it did not come directly from the police department to him. That saddened me. That's not how things should be run in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothered me a lot as a member of the Board of Public Safety. Accept this information and go forward and try to make things better for the gentleman who is living in these conditions.
Yes.
I have grave concern for the people over there, and I hope that this can be expeditiously taken care of. And I appreciate and applaud what you're trying to do to remedy this situation. And I thank our police department for being on board with that.
Great. Yes, and you know, it's a team effort, and even expeditiously. I just met with a group of senior citizens. Quarterly, I meet with the seniors at Glens Senior Center and give them an update how the city's going. It's one of my most enjoyable parts of each quarter. And today, I said how lucky we were, but that they were asking about street repair. And I said, when I was on the Board of Public, not the Board of Public Safety, I was the chair of the Sustainability Committee. We approved LED streetlights throughout the city. And we were told afterwards that we did it with lightning speed. And it was a little over 2 years. And I said, under what crazy world is lightning speed? And what I've now learned is in the municipal world, that is lightning speed. And so I appreciate that those neighbors are so frustrated, and somebody's been assaulted and somebody was arrested not once but twice by our police officers. And we've made some over 50 visits to that place in this year alone. And there were dogs in there, and the homeowners are in jail, and so hard to serve them papers while they're in jail. But I believe we will do it expeditiously, but unfortunately that's expeditiously for the laws that we have. And so it is hard, and I know that's tough for people to say. So I invited that gentleman to come in and to meet with the chief and I and the building and codes department and I, and we're all frustrated by the length it takes to address some of these problems in our community. But that's what we have to do it legally and to make it work. And I did just get some good news that we believe that the judge, we're going to appeal to the judge to take action this coming, whenever it is, this month, and hopefully we get the property shut down. It certainly appears that that's what we should do, but that's up to a judge, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
And what I have a problem with is that the people who say, well, nothing's been done. And that's just not true. And so Chuck is a great guy, and I really should not comment on the comments made by council members. I hope that their language speaks for themselves, and that's just the way we've got to do it, right?
I respect that.
So,
I
fair
respect
enough,
your
right?
feeling,
Yeah.
but I feel myself as a member.
You thought it was
I can't
bad
say that.
taste. Yeah. Fair
Thank
enough.
you.
Thank you. I don't think we have any other new business. If we do, please speak up. Under old business, regarding the bicycles and the EVs on the city sidewalks, Commissioner Seidel stated that his concern was for the safety of the elderly walking on the streets, and he'd like to get some opinions from the elderly that walk regularly. I also met with Chief Smith, and I asked him to maybe create some other subcommittee meetings which you guys could be invited to. That I know, Mike, that you had created a kind of a draft of what some new regulations regarding sidewalk safety could be. But I also felt like we needed to bring in the police to look at all that they are and what we're seeing, and then look to, instead of like, we know we've had people who have said the opposite is true, that we shouldn't pass any regulations, that we're discriminating and pushing children onto into the streets and off the sidewalks. And the truth is that both can be true at the same time, meaning we do have to address elderly people and their safety, and the rest of us and the safety. And the problem's getting worse because of EV. Some like scooters and stuff, they're silent, but they're also, we know that 2 near-death experiences, I think they were electric vehicles, weren't they, electric bicycles?
Yeah.
One died and one was did both make it through?
Both survived.
Both survived, but near critical, right?
true.
And they were both going the wrong direction, riding not on the on the sidewalks, but riding against traffic, in the street, running, not paying attention to traffic signals. We know that we've got kids on bicycles that, as much as you don't want them on the sidewalk, you don't want them in the streets going the wrong way either. And so I'd like us to start to work on bringing that together. Chief Smith, can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on it for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
I just put a few things together as to what's currently being done or currently a law. Currently, our city code dictates the downtown business district to where there's no play vehicles, and obviously that means scooters, that means bicycles, that means skateboards, rollerblades, roller skates. Basically anything with wheels in the downtown district should not be on the sidewalk, and that's in the city code right now as we speak. Other municipalities have spread that out to other streets, and specifically Saratoga lists every street that they don't want people on the sidewalks with those vehicles. So that's currently what's in the city code. What's in the vehicle and traffic goes into,
This is the document that you got?
yep, that goes into defining electric scooters, EVs. So there currently is vehicle and traffic law. If you specifically look at number 7A, no person shall operate an electric scooter on a sidewalk except as may be authorized by a local law or ordinance adopted by a city, town, village having jurisdiction over such sidewalk. So right now, as we speak, they're not supposed to be on the sidewalks at all, and they can, if they fall into this category of, there's 12 sections to this vehicle and traffic law. If they are violating one of those sections, then they can be issued a ticket for violating that section. So that's where we currently are right
That would
now.
be any, and what do they, operating electric scooters, so would that be an electric bike?
Electric bike, it goes into defining all of it. There's three different categories depending on how fast the vehicle goes. There's pedal assists. If you go to another document, if you go to, I got most of this information off the New York State Department of Transportation. They go into defining what an electric scooter is, bicycles with electric assist. There's 3 or 4 different categories or classes, depending on how fast they go. And then they go into, and that part even says you cannot operate these devices on a sidewalk except as authorized by local ordinances, which is what we would be doing. And then operating a registered ATV on a public highway, they go into talking about that. So those would be mini bikes, off-road dirt bikes, go-karts, golf carts, lawnmowers.
Yeah, lawnmowers, right? It's actually been,
We
there are
have
people
had
that
that.
have,
We have had
So-
issues with people ride on lawnmowers. DWI's issue.
DWIs issued.
Yeah.
So if I was riding my electric or non-electric lawnmower and I'm on the sidewalk, I'm illegal. If I ride on the road, am I illegal if I'm going in the right direction and I follow traffic?
Because you can't register those and they're not supposed to be on the roadway.
And if I'm on my electric bicycle and I'm riding on the sidewalk, am I illegal?
Yes.
And what am I illegal, what am I doing illegally?
It's just a violation of the vehicle and
In
traffic law.
violation of the vehicle and traffic law.
Because there's section 7A that prohibits being on the sidewalk.
And then if I'm in the road paying attention and joining, so now I'm on one of those little, it used to be a skateboard, except it's got one wheel, or maybe it is a skateboard with electric. Let's just call it that for a second for safety of description. So I'm on my electric skateboard, or maybe not even, well, so if I'm on my electric skateboard and I'm riding in the traffic, with the traffic, am I illegal?
No. You become a bicycle at that point and you need to follow all bicycle laws.
Right, and so that means I'm going with traffic. Am I okay if I'm in the parking lane? So I'm going, right, left side, right side. I'm supposed to drive on this side, so I'm on my electric, bicycle, or I'm on my electric skateboard, and I'm over the side, and they're going by me. I'm okay, right? And I got to come back in when there's a car parked in the thing, and I come back in. I got to look. I'm responsible to look and not come into traffic and hit a car, right? If I'm with traffic and I stay with traffic through my downtown, I'm legal. Do I have to have a helmet on?
Yep, depending on your age. And there's the specific regulations to how fast you can go and how old you can be, and that's all laid out in there.
It's all laid out in here. And now let's say I have one of those electric scooters and I'm with my mom and I'm 8 years old and I'm riding on the sidewalk. It's technically illegal because I'm not supposed to be on the sidewalk, but would we enforce that? I don't think we would we?
There are specific cutouts in these sections.
Oh, it actually
that cover
describes that
Like,
too.
what if it's a little Barbie scooter?
Right.
It goes like 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, hold their hands.
Right, and that's why we're asking the question, because that's what the Board of Public Safety, by looking at changing these laws, was being accused of forcing children of 11 years old out into the street. And it's not the case, but it lays it out here. We should look at that. We should also, no matter what, if we look to amend this law or add to it or subtract to them, right? Whatever we decide, what you decide to recommend for a change, we need to then educate people as to what that is so that nobody thinks that we're trying to push an 8-year-old on a Barbie scooter into traffic, right? But we also need to educate mom and dad about what's okay. Because when there are 8-year-olds or 11-year-olds without parents that are riding, and not just on the sidewalk, but the wrong way on the sidewalk, right? And sometimes with helmets and sometimes without. And we also need to figure out, and when you have a law like this, do you ever write down how you enforce, or like, I mean, it'd be tough to imagine that we'd give out an 11-year-old who's doing this. I mean, we might pull her over or him over and say, "Where are you from?" Right? And talk to mom and say, "Mom, we saw her we're swerving in and out of traffic. You gotta help us."
If you're under 16, the parents are responsible for that.
Great.
And the parents can be issued those tickets.
Gotcha. So could be, and that's great. And I'm sure we are a kind police force, and that we would talk to those parents and try to help them help us teach safety, right? So take a look at this, and then how does this affect, Mike? Anyway, the suggested changes that you had made, do they encompass it?
I don't know, there's so many complex aspects to this. It's very complicated because we want to be fair to everyone. There are people whose kids ride little vehicles to school. We don't want them in the street.
Yeah.
And we don't want 20-year-olds riding high-speed bicycles down the sidewalk, which I see.
Yeah, right? And how are we going to enforce it? And so do me a favor, take this home, chew on it. Think of what Mike had proposed. Think of what this says. Maybe Mike's proposal ends up becoming a beginning of an education document, right? Because it might just be a wording of this. Maybe it is already illegal, Mike, and I think that's what we are saying. Anybody riding a bike in downtown is illegal, right? But if
On the
they're
sidewalk, yes.
on the sidewalk,
On a sidewalk.
is already illegal
Downtown.
downtown.
So let me read this. This also comes from the state of New York, sponsored by Bike New York. It just kind of goes along with the sentiment that Mike's saying. While riding a bicycle on the sidewalk is not prohibited in New York, some municipalities have passed ordinances prohibiting bicycle traffic on certain sidewalks. This prohibition is usually posted. Sidewalks are for pedestrians. Cyclists on sidewalks can cause conflicts with pedestrians, like wrong lane riding. Crashes can occur because bicyclists are in situations where others don't expect them to be. Except for, young cyclists under parental supervision, sidewalks are not for bicycling.
There we go. So why don't we do you have somebody in your force that helps you work with this, or did you do all this?
I did this to
You
prepare
just
for
funded
you,
your-
but I do have somebody, yes, that's very interested in it.
So I'd love to have you to share, we have a question? Let's see.
The hardest issue we've dealt with.
It is. It's a
So
nightmare.
somebody wrote,
It's been
disabled people and their safety. Motorized scooters for disabled people should be able to have public access the same as motorized wheelchairs. That's true. Oh, wait, motorized scooters for disabled people should have the same public access as wheelchairs. That's a good point. Which are cost prohibitive in many seniors and disabled people. Agreed. It's very difficult or impossible to obtain insurance authorization for people fluctuating neuromuscular disease. Okay.
I believe-
Expect a call from me tomorrow about my motorized senior scooter. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for weighing in, member of the public. It's great. So let's take a look at the suggested changes, see what's covered under this, see what's not, then bring it back and just start to formulate. We may not need to change any law. We might need to educate people about the law. We might need to add some exclusions for people with disabilities. Now, I would assume it's in here, so it's already in here, and that's great. So, I can't imagine that we would take somebody who's got limited mobility and ticket them for riding on their electric scooter or whatever it might be for them to get around. That's not what the object of this is. The object of the concern comes from 18 to 20-year-olds riding the wrong way on the sidewalks and then crossing the streets, not paying attention to any of the rules. And it's dangerous. And it's funny, we actually have a law that already prohibits it. Right? And I don't think we recognize that. So let's take a look. And I do believe that regardless of what we come up with, when we're done, I think that the most important piece is not the law or the ordinance that we might change. What's important is the education about the change. Helping to what police would do, helping to understand what we need the kids do, what's legal, maybe some signage. I don't think there's one sign, at least, and I don't want to say this, I've learned that I can be proven wrong pretty easy. It's a 4 square mile. But I don't remember seeing any signs that say no bicycles in our downtown. Or the sidewalks are for pedestrians, right? So let's take a look and let's work towards it, because I don't want to A, be overwhelmed and not address the concerns we have, or B, be worried that people are accusing us of pushing children and people with disabilities into streets, because neither of those are the intention. We do though need to. We have a group of parents right now in Glens Falls that are on one morning, or maybe more than that, they're organizing kids riding to the school, and they're attending with those kids to the junior high.
That's the bike bus.
The bike
The bike bus, and I think it's great. But boy, if I was looking at it and I didn't know that parents were going to enjoy it, I wouldn't let my kid ride on those streets they picked. But they're trying to do education,
Correct.
and I think we need to do what we can to educate people about those events so that drivers are more careful.
Right.
I think we've already said here in this meeting that as Glens Falls gets busier and busier and more successful, and it is becoming busier and busier, that traffic safety is an important priority for us, and that we need to address it every way to traffic and pedestrian safety. We all know that there's our favorite cut-through streets that people zip through to get one side of town to the other. We also have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars on traffic safety monitoring systems that we haven't even got a chance to implement yet, because have we got it even in?
Still waiting.
And it's still waiting.
End of the
So-
month, right, Chip?
Yes.
Yeah, look at that. So let us continue to work on this, and if we can, can we ask your guy to look at combining that, see what suggestions they'd make, and then we can then pick it apart. I don't mean that in a negative way, but pick it apart intellectually and play with it and say, well, what about this, and how does that affect? And maybe it changes, but maybe the education of it changes. And let's bring Barbie, and I've forgotten Barbie's last name, from Adirondack Cyclists, who offered to help us with off-road stuff that they've done in Queensbury. Let's bring them in. Let's bring in Bike Glens Falls Group to look at it and help us. These people can help us with A, modifying, or B, helping us enforce and educate. Fair enough?
Mayor,
Yes.
excuse me. I believe that we need a true definition of a scooter.
That'll be on the website.
Yes, a true definition of the scooter so that our constituent who is concerned about the disability and disability scooters. There is a vast difference between a constituent who needs a handicap scooter. They need something to help them because they are unable to get around on their 2 feet.
Right.
I understand that, I respect that. Versus an 11, 15, 25-year-old on a scooter, 2-wheel, standing up, zipping around.
Yeah,
Huge difference.
absolutely.
So we need to, and if there is a definition, then what we need to pay particular attention to is that.
I agree.
What we have on the street. We have a disabled individual trying to get around, or we have a young adult, or even an older adult, standing on a 2-wheel scooter.
Yep.
There's vast
There is,
difference.
and you gotta be careful
It
because,
needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed finite. We need to be finite with this,
Yeah.
what we were going
and
after.
I actually think it's not about the scooter as much as it is because I could have a limited mobility issue. I've got 1 foot shorter than the other, and I can to walk long periods of time. I've got a disability. You wouldn't see it to look at me. I think that it is okay for me that has a disability to be on a scooter that isn't necessarily a disability scooter, right? They're not always, it could be a regular scooter that helps me with a disability get by. So that's why we've done it regarding cars, right? It's not just a car that has a total outfit of it. It's a car and they had to apply for something. So we should work with it. And I think that's what that gentleman may have been at this, right?
Absolutely.
There are limiting, right? My wife right now is struggling with some of her feet, and so we're not hiking much. But she doesn't have enough of a disability to go and take a disability 4x4 up Buck Mountain.
Right.
It's a different ball of wax.
Right.
So we should. You're absolutely right. We need to make sure we're being inclusive of everybody while we try to make areas of our city safer for both pedestrians and bicycle safety is as much about the pedestrians and the bicyclists as it is about the drivers, right?
Absolutely.
So
It's not only the city of Glens Falls that needs to address this. It's the state in general, and possibly even the country. I mean, these electric vehicle, scooters, bicycles,
yeah,
skateboards,
yeah.
it needs all to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed, educationally addressed, that the definition of what is what and who is what on these.
Yeah, and I think that is, but that's, read this through. I think
I
they're
will,
defining
yeah.
it, and let's see
Yeah.
what we think, and we
Yeah.
might be able to add something, if, some definition for our local code, if we want a better definition.
So this
Yeah.
is for the state?
This is a state, these are state,
That's vehicle and traffic.
Vehicle
by
traffic.
New York State.
Yeah,
But if
last month
if you go
we
to
got
the-
information on it.
If you go to the state's Department of Transportation website, it lays out all the definitions for everything that we're talking about.
That's great.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Nate Warrington on the email he sent. I think he took the
Yeah, last month, last
He took
month.
the initiative to send that out.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
and
want
it
to
was
take
all
that
the-
information and this
Yeah.
information of what we were thinking about,
Yep.
put it all together
Yep.
to come up with both if there's a code change, then a suggested code change, but also then the education, I think, is more important.
I appreciate his interest.
Yeah.
He's also one of our newer officers, I think.
That's great.
It's
See
all
the one
in the
that you're referring to with the-
New York State
as an
B&T,
interest?
and
Yeah,
he
that's
got
great.
a lot of that off that, which is very educational and appreciated.
Yeah.
Shows
And-
good-
and
good
we
initiative.
can do more about raising awareness. Maybe we could make these documents and bring them into the schools too, right? Because I know they have their bike safety, the rodeos.
they do.
And I wonder if those rules
That's all
are being
coming up.
reviewed. No, but those are usually about the safety of riding a bike and how to do it.
Correct.
But I don't know that it says, I don't know that they include any specific information about our city and what's not acceptable. We could teach parents a ton then too.
Possibly not. It's
Right.
possibly not.
Let's take a
been
look,
included.
right?
Yeah.
We certainly could work better with the school to provide the information and supplement.
And to the bike vendors, if we have
Yes.
rules, because I get the impression, Chief, that this is probably sufficient to achieve what we need to achieve. But you're the expert here, I'm not. Do you need something in addition to this to
To enforce? No.
to enforce? Okay. So what if we were to create a brief informational packet, like one page maybe, that got out to the schools and to the bicycle vendors, because the bicycles are also actually I almost ran over a guy today who was on the sidewalk in front of Crandall Park, and he went across the crosswalk
Without looking.
without looking at turning traffic. So maybe we really don't need any more ordinances. Maybe we need just a little more education of the public.
Yes.
But I'd like the chief's opinion on that topic, because you're the
Education is
professional,
key.
I'm not.
That will take years. That's not a quick fix.
Well,
Just to
What's
be-
that?
I think it's important, but it will not be quick.
What's that?
And people are stubborn.
Education.
They don't want to change.
No, I think it's gonna have to be consistent. It can't be a one and done thing,
Yeah.
right?
It's like
We're agreed.
with the elementary schools, the little, I don't know exactly what they call it, the little bicycle training.
Bike rodeos.
Yeah.
Bike
Yeah.
rodeo.
Like something
It's gotta
like
be
that,
everywhere.
but everybody has to go through it to ride
Yeah.
your bike to
It's
school,
consistent.
so everybody goes through it,
Absolutely.
and it's very consistent year
Isn't
after
it kind of
year.
a niche rider though? I mean, the people that I see are generally 18 to 25, 26 riding the high-powered scooters in the traffic and doing this stuff. It's not the 11 and 12-year-olds.
No,
that are
it's not.
causing the
Oh,
problem.
usually, but I
So you have a
guess,
certain subset of individuals that are continually doing this type of activity.
well, and I think as people age, they'll go into that
And I'm not
subset,
being
so that's why it's
ageist, I'm
important.
just saying it seems to be the same guy I see,
Yes.
all the time.
Well, it's a group of individuals.
Yeah. There's a
Friends.
whole bunch.
Basic-
There's a whole bunch.
Yeah,
of
I've heard
different
a lot
things,
about
and they're-
them,
and
so
you know,
they don't represent the
I,
age
it
population.
may be, but we need a whole, so please, I agree with him. Please go back to Nate and yourself, look through this, compare it with what Mike had drafted. Does this take care of it? And if it does, then let's get an educational clarity, and then we can talk again on how to implement that and where, and make it our mission to educate people on public safety better. That's what we're here for, and I think there's a need, and I think everybody will be appreciative of it.
But I want the public, I want our constituents to know we are not trying to drive any of our handicapped individuals off the sidewalk.
Absolutely.
Absolutely vital for them to know that that is not what we are looking to do. Not what the City of Glens Falls Board of Public Safety is looking to do,
No.
nor our police department are looking to do.
No.
We are looking to maintain safety for the handicapped individuals on the sidewalks. That is what we're trying to accomplish.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's
good.
Thank you, guys. Chief Smith's report, you're sitting right here, let's go for it.
No new business?
You have no new business, no old business, holy cow. You've got Chief's report in your packet, does anybody have any?
Put together.
Make a
Do we have any-
motion
Yeah, but this
to
is from an
approve this.
amateur.
I'll second.
I'm an amateur, I'm not a professional.
There you go.
You can keep
So
it.
we have
First and
we have a
second.
first and a second.
Yep.
All in favor to accept Chief Smith's report?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you,
pulling
Chief.
that together.
You're welcome.
For your work on this.
Deputy Chief Modar, how are you, sir?
Good evening, how are you guys?
Good evening. Is it evening already? It went from afternoon to
I don't want
evening.
to go through it.
All right. How are you?
Doing well. Once again, thank the board for allowing me to honor the shift with the citation award last month. Mr. and Miss Ozier were able to be there and congratulate the crew that helped get her out of the building and basically save her life and get her to where she is today. So we held that at the last council meeting, and it was enjoyed by all. I think we pretty much left the mayor with the empty room when we left out of there. But I think he still handled business as usual.
We should have made you all stay for the entire council.
Right.
Had the recognition at the end. I wasn't lonely.
Exactly. But that was a good showing, and that shows that the families mean a lot to the fire department, and they like to see success and especially honoring what they do.
Arjun.
We did host a agility course last week for the firemen
Did I take
who just took the test back in January. Those test results should be coming out here very shortly. At the end of this month, we'll be 3 down, so the next academy actually starts at the end of July. So be looking in your emails for interview time periods and with who, so that we can get that accomplished quickly and get them into the position they need to be. Public safety announcement. I know you guys just talked about the e-bikes and everything else, but we just had a fire as well over on Bay Road, and it was due to improper cigarette butt placement. So if you're going to put your cigarette butts out, make sure that they're in a fireproof container. Make sure that the butts are out. Make it a habit to dump water on it or whatever when you leave it. Don't leave it unattended. It, of course, was on one of those windy days that we had last month, and fortunately for the residents in that building, the shift was able to make a quick stop. We actually had an ambulance at the hospital, so that put them down a few people to make that attack. So as that fire safety, make sure you kind of help quell that and help us keep you safe. What else? That is it for right now.
All right. Any questions for the chief? You've got or deputy chief, you've got his report?
No, but I would like to say that my husband and I were walking yesterday and we got to see the new fire truck.
Yeah.
And we're quite impressed with the gentlemen that were driving it. And
Isn't it nice?
yeah.
We have a lot of new faces and a lot of training pieces that go with that, getting them used to the vehicles that they're driving and how they operate, because they're all a little bit different from each other based on the years that they've been purchased. So you have to know them all, because you never know when you're going to be able to put them into play.
Switching them over and,
Exactly.
education-wise, looking good. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve deputy chief's report.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is it. I do not believe we need an executive session. And so would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn? There you go. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all very, very much.